Hey friends, it is tank top weather. I'm super excited. I'm gonna hit 80 degrees today here in Michigan. No wind. Finally, the wind has died down. So today we're gonna go and look at all of the different herbs that I'm growing in my garden or putting in this year. This here is chamomile that came back from last year. This is one of the hardiest chamomiles I've ever had come back. This is the Marguerite. I've grown the regular white one with the yellow centers called the Zloty Lawn. And that one does not overwinter as well for me. This one does. So I'm going to try this chamomile and see what I think about using it in place of typical chamomile. But I've got this one, and then over here, oops, I've got another one growing, and then I also grew some for this year too. This here is the other chamomile. If you think of chamomile, this is probably more what you'd imagine to see. It's got this fern-like, that kind of looks similar to the other chamomile, but this one's got the white flowers. That's typically used for tea. So I am gonna put some of that in the garden. This guy right here is that anise hyssop that I showed you just maybe a week ago when we were putting the fence up. It was little. Look how much bigger it's gotten. This I grew for the first time last year and it has come back, and I grew this for pollinators mainly. I'm not sure exactly how to use it medicinally or culinary, but I'm gonna do some investigating and find out. But it's beautiful. It's got really beautiful purple flowers and the bees love it. So I'm excited to see that come back this year. I tried so hard to overwinter rosemary this year and it almost made it, but the last cold spell snapped it good. So I've got some new rosemary to put out in the garden. Mint is the bully of the garden. This is mountain mint. I also have some mint mix. I'm going to put these into containers. You do not want to put these straight into your garden because they spread by runners underground and you will quickly find yourself having mint choke out the rest of your garden. I've started some garlic chive, which I know this looks terrible, but it'll take root and be just fine shortly. Here is my regular chive, and this has been in this pot for years. Chive also can be a little bit of a bully in the garden, so I like to keep mine in a pot. So this year I'll have this chive. I started another one to get another pot going, and then I started the garlic chive. I have cilantro that I'm going to put out here. I'm not a huge fan of cilantro. I know that lots of people either love it or hate it. I'm ambivalent, but I am going to plant some so that if I want to make some dishes, like taco dishes, they have a little bit of this kind of flavoring to it. I have it. I'm planning on drying it out and using it that way. This here is yarrow, and it also spreads voraciously, so it actually self-seeds quite a bit, but I have mine in a pot. I think I'm going to move it to a bigger pot, or I might give it a corner of the yard where I don't mind if it gets out of control. I grow this primarily for the bees, but it does have some medicinal properties as well. These babies coming right here are calendula. Calendula are beautiful. The pollinators love them. They make an edible flower that Ava loves to put on salads. I also am going to be dehydrating them or putting them in oil and dehydrating them and using them to make skin salves this year, because calendula has got great properties for sensitive skin, and Ava actually has incredibly sensitive skin. So I'm hoping to use this to make some salves to kind of help her a little bit. Here is Sage. Aunt Libby just got here. Today is Ava's birthday. Sage comes back every year for me. This plant needs some help. I need to kind of clean it up, but I haven't cleaned it up, but it's got new shoots coming up and looks fantastic. Here's my lavender plant. I've got a new one coming up. I never harvested this. Somebody need to come in and cut this down, but I use lavender mainly because it looks pretty. These guys here are new to me. I planted them last year. They didn't get very big and they didn't flower, but it is called feverfew, and they make the really pretty little white flowers. So I'm very anxious to see how that goes. I'm growing them mainly for something pretty and for the pollinators, but I will look into them because I think that they do have medicinal properties. Here's my most aggressive oregano patch. This makes a really, really pretty rock garden herb. You can see it kind of makes this mat and kind of spills out over. I really like it here. I've got it in a couple other spots, but this is by far my favorite spot. And I will use this for cooking mainly, and it's probably my oldest herb out in the garden. Parsley, this one's my favorite. I have lots of them started to go outside. This is one that grew in the crack of the sidewalk. last year, overwintered, stayed green all winter, and looks like this now. She's fantastic. We use parsley for all kinds of things. If I had to pick one herb that we couldn't live without, it would be this one. This is Ella Campaign. Ella Campine. This is new to me this year. I actually saw it in another YouTuber's videos that it has good medicinal qualities, and I think it will be perennial here. So I started it, and we'll see how she goes. We have looked at my pretty basil tray lots of times. I need to come in and give them a little bit of a haircut. But I have a whole bunch of basil in here, some of it for pollinators and some of it for me. This Genovese is the one that I like to use the best. This lettuce leaf, that's another one for the kitchen. This amaretto, purple ball basil. Another purple one's ruffles. I'll use a little bit of those, but a lot of those are for pollinators, as is the Siam Queen. But all that, oh my gosh, it smells amazing. I wish you could be in here and smelling this. That's amazing. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed that tour down my herbs. I did have a couple missing that I'll probably direct sow. I didn't have dill in there or thyme. Both of those were unfortunately in the batch of herbs that were on my porch that didn't make it through the cold snap. I'm just going to direct seed them. So I'm going to go ahead and direct seed dill and thyme, although I do think I have some dill in my winter sow containers coming up, but that's where that's going to go. If you think I'm missing any other herb that is fantastic, tell me in the comments, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a great day.